Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Colin Leggett. We warmly welcome members from the police jurisdictions around the country joining us today to mark National Police Remembrance Day. This significant day commemorates all those Australian police officers who have been killed on duty or who have died as a result of their duties. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Launceston Church Grammar School Junior Campus from East Launceston, Tasmania. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. If you are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Edwin Bishop. William Bishop was born in 1891 in Clifton, on the outskirts of Bristol, England. Baptised on the 11th of December 1891, William was the eldest of 5 children born to groom Frank Edwin Bishop and his laundress wife, Martha. The family remained around Bristol during William's childhood, moving from Clifton to Westbury-on-Trim in 1895 and then to Henbury in 1901, where Frank worked as a bus driver. William attended boarding school in the Westbury-on-Trim before training as a porter and a gardener. He went on to work as a general labourer and helped his mother run her laundry along with his younger siblings John and Martha. He also spent 2 years serving with the 6th Gloucester Regiment of the Territorial Force. In 1911, William left his family in Westbury-on-Trim and travelled to London before leaving England in the SS Kaipara. Arriving in Brisbane on the 21st of June 1911, William found work as a general labourer. After a year in Brisbane, he decided to join the Queensland Police. Having met the strict physical and educational requirements and undertaken 3 months of training, William was examined by a sub-inspector before becoming a constable. William was sworn in on the 26th of November 1912 before being stationed at Roma Street Police Station in central Brisbane. As a single man, William lived in the newly renovated barracks at Roma Street, which offered little privacy. William Bishop enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 5th of August 1915 in Brisbane, 2 months before active policemen were barred from volunteering for military service. Assigned to reinforcements of the 25th Battalion, he began initial training at the Enoggera camp on the outskirts of Brisbane. 6 weeks later, on the 18th of September 1915, he left Australia aboard HMAS Armidale, bound for Egypt. Taken on strength of the 25th Battalion in early February 1916, William left Egypt with the rest of his battalion in mid-March, sailing to France and the Western Front. The 25th Battalion landed at Marseille on the 19th of March 1916, the first AIF battalion to arrive in France from Egypt. A fortnight later, the men were in the trenches outside the village of Mourbec in northern France. By early May, they had moved east to Armentières, close to the Belgian border. This relatively quiet area of the front was known as the nursery sector, where soldiers would be introduced to the rigours of trench warfare. On the 14th of May, Bishop's battalion was preparing to relieve the 27th Battalion in the trenches outside Armentières. William was admitted to the 6th Field Ambulance suffering from a nasal obstruction. He was transferred to a casualty clearing station, then admitted to hospital for treatment and recovery. On the 25th of June, William was taken on strength of the 1st Anzac Entrenching Battalion, which acted as a holding battalion for reinforcements for 1 Anzac Corps, exposing new soldiers and those recovering from wounding or illness to combat conditions while they undertook engineering works near the front line. William rejoined the 25th Battalion in mid-July 1916, just in time for the unit's first major battle on the Western Front at Pozières. Between the 25th of July and the 7th of August, the battalion suffered 785 casualties before moving to bivouacs at Walloi to recover. After a spell in a quieter section of the front in Belgium, the battalion returned to the Somme Valley in October. By this stage, the Somme battlefield had been deluged with rain. Attacks were being launched in atrocious conditions, with troops surrounded by cloying mud. On the 5th of November, the 25th Battalion took part in the first attack around the village of Flers. At 9:10 a.m, the men jumped off from their positions in the trenches and advanced across no man's land under a cover of artillery barrage. When the group was about halfway across no man's land, the enemy opened fire with machine guns, causing many casualties. The mud slowed the troops' pace, leaving them unable to keep up with their creeping artillery barrage and vulnerable to German machine gunners and riflemen. During the advance, Private William Edwin Bishop was killed in action by machine gun fire. He was 25 years old. William's body was never recovered from the battlefield. Today he is commemorated on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, alongside more than 10,000 Australians who were killed in France and have no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Edwin Bishop, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.